plan to have who will be the emergency quarterback in the game?
Shedeur. Yeah.
Is Dylan Gabriel going to be like second quarter? He's out there because Flacco just needs a minute in the blue tent.
Yeah, that feels likely.
And if it's Shadur Sanders and he starts balling,
then what?
Everything changes in a
whole
bat of an
season,
eye.
Yeah.
He's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day. He's saying all the right things, trying to elevate his level of play. And remember, up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dylan Gabriel because he performed better against Carolina than Dylan Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles. It's just that obviously he nosedived over this last week, and so the tenor of the conversation changed. He really hasn't done it. I mean, he hasn't gotten in any trouble. I mean, he hasn't been saying the wrong things. He hasn't been a less than a model citizen focused on, being the best that he can be. He hasn't done anything. So I think that when we look at it, he's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day.
Kevin Stefanski made it clear that Shedeur Sanders will keep getting opportunities regardless of any new additions, identifying him as the club's emergency option moving forward. That stance set off fresh debate. If the Browns didn't plan to lean on Bailey Zappi, why bring him in at all? Zappi wasn't signed to be the starter. He's roster insurance, a safety net if the season throws a curveball. In practice, this points to Shedeur remaining the next man up at quarterback 1 if circumstances demand it. Cleveland's decision to add Bailey Zappi looks like a depth play, rather than a push to crown a new starter. It's a precaution meant to reduce the risk of getting thin at quarterback over a long season. By signing Zappi, the Browns keep their options open without committing to a full reset at the position. The move isn't about replacing Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. It's about maintaining coverage in case injuries or other issues hit the room. Overall, the message is simple. Shedeur stays in the primary development and contingency lane, while Zappi provides stability and flexibility behind the scenes.
I like the fact that they have him there. I think he'll be good in practice. He'll be good for some of those younger guys in helping them to prepare for a game and whatnot.
The Browns added Bailey Zappi primarily to steady the room and support their young quarterbacks this season. According to Mary Kay Cabot, his day-to-day will center on helping install weekly game plans, getting the QBs ready for opponents, and being prepared to step in if injuries hit. Cabot also noted he could become a quietly valuable piece. At the same time, the move may hint that Dylan Gabriel is drawing trade interest. Several teams are reportedly checking in, especially after Kenny Pickett's recent deal. With Gabriel in the spotlight, speculation is growing that Shedeur Sanders could be only a few games from settling in as the number 2, creating a real opening for him. Stephen A. Smith weighed in as well, emphasizing Sanders' steady climb and the momentum he's built. He argued that even before the latest preseason outing, Sanders had effectively moved ahead of Gabriel on the depth chart. Aside from a brief stumble last week, Smith said, Sanders has kept stacking positives, communicating cleanly with teammates, and staying locked on development. In his view, the Browns recognize Sanders' upside and are banking on continued growth as he evolves into a more impactful presence in the near future.
He really hasn't done it. I mean, he hasn't gotten in any trouble. I mean, he hasn't been saying the wrong things. He hasn't been a less than a model citizen focused on, being the best that he can be. He hasn't done anything. So I think that when we look at it, he's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day.
Stephen A. Smith underscored Shedeur Sanders' steady rise, emphasizing the real momentum behind his development. He said that even before the most recent preseason game, it was apparent Sanders had edged ahead of Dylan Gabriel on the depth chart. Smith added that, aside from a brief setback last week, Sanders has remained unbeaten, strengthened his communication with teammates, and is fully locked in on refining his craft. In Smith's view, the Browns clearly recognize Sanders' immense upside and are counting on him to keep growing into a more impactful, commanding presence as time goes on, a trajectory that reflects both his poise and the staff's increasing trust.
Going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day. He's saying all the right things, trying to elevate his level of play. And remember, up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dylan Gabriel because he performed better against Carolina than Dylan Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles. It's just that obviously he nosedived over this last week, and so the tenor of the conversation changed.
Stephen A. Smith's take lines up with head coach Kevin Stefanski's shifting approach to Shedeur Sanders. Lately, Stefanski has doubled down on developing Sanders and brushed off outside criticism. That's a notable change from earlier, when he downplayed concerns and offered sharper critiques. After the Kenny Pickett trade, the tone flipped. Sanders moved back into the spotlight with a real chance to prove himself. The timing matters, signaling the staff is ready to give him a genuine runway to show his upside.
I'm committed to his development. just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Several analysts have weighed in on Shedeur Sanders' push for the QB2 job, and many point to Dillon Gabriel's size as a potential long-term hurdle to holding that role. Mike Tannenbaum praised Gabriel's calm, efficient preseason and acknowledged his skill, but he also flagged height as a meaningful disadvantage at the NFL level, one that could make a trade scenario more realistic. Talent and mechanics matter, he noted, yet measurable limitations can be hard to mask over a full season, which might jeopardize Gabriel's grip on the backup spot and prompt teams to explore moves. Nick Wright echoed a similar theme. He credited Gabriel's ability and upside, but didn't sidestep the obvious constraint: size. Wright argued that while Gabriel can sharpen decision-making and accuracy, he can't change his frame, and that physical profile may complicate his path to becoming a steady NFL starter. By contrast, when stacked against Shedeur Sanders, who brings broader physical tools and a higher developmental ceiling, the gap becomes clearer. That comparison highlights the specific challenges Gabriel must overcome, and why momentum may be tilting toward Sanders for the QB2 role.
Gabriel, who through no fault of his own, commits one of my cardinal sins of quarterbacking, which is he's tiny. And so, he's tiny.
Mike Florio, senior NFL analyst, weighed in on the Browns' internal debate and suggested the team is seriously considering moving Dillon Gabriel. He cautioned that dealing Gabriel could thin out the quarterback competition, but he also framed it as a strong opening for Shedeur Sanders to step forward. With added reps and visibility, Sanders could make a real impression and lock himself in as a valuable QB2 option for a team that needs stability behind its starter. Florio also noted that after Kenny Pickett's departure, Cleveland may be even more inclined to explore a Gabriel trade. By contrast, Sanders is essentially off-limits in his view because of his massive fan base and the public blowback a trade would trigger. With the conversation getting louder, Florio believes moving Sanders would do more harm than good for the organization's relationship with its supporters. That's why Gabriel stands out as the more likely trade candidate as the Browns try to manage depth, keep momentum, and stay aligned with their fan.
This is one of the natural and foreseeable byproducts of drafting him. He comes to town with a built-in fan base. The mouth breathers, as you call them, are in tow. Not that I called them that, but you called them that.
Yeah,
They're there.
Rich Eisen weighed in on Cleveland's situation, saying that if Dillon Gabriel is moved and Shedeur Sanders slides into the QB2 role, it's likely only a matter of time before he's starting later in the year. Eisen argued that the promotion would give Sanders the runway to cement himself, and he's confident Sanders is on track to become QB1 at some point this season. The momentum is clearly tilting towards Sanders, positioning him to take over when the opportunity presents itself. Big picture, Kevin Stefanski's message that Shedeur Sanders is the next man up if anything happens to Joe Flacco is just one part of a broader shift. Factor in Sanders' steady growth, the coaching staff's evolving view, and the ongoing chatter about Gabriel's future, and it's clear Sanders isn't being framed as a mere emergency option. He's a real contender for QB1. If Gabriel is dealt, that could be the final push that quiets the doubts and locks in Sanders as the Browns' future at the position, signaling a fresh chapter for the team. What's your read on Cleveland leaning towards Shedeur Sanders as a potential QB1? Would a Dillon Gabriel trade seal it? Or do you see a path where Gabriel still takes on a bigger role? How do you expect the battle among Sanders, Gabriel, and Joe Flacco to unfold? And what does it mean for the Browns going forward? Share your take. I'm curious where you land.
So he says, just exactly what he says. I'm told the footage of Shedeur Sanders meeting with the Giants is so bad that both the Browns and the Sanders family have threatened legal action if it is.
What in the NFL is happening right now? The New York Giants just leaked a draft interview recording with Shedeur Sanders, and fans are completely freaking out. Did Shadur take some shots? Did the Giants forget what the word confidential means? Or did someone accidentally hit reply all on something that was supposed to stay locked away? Get ready, because this roller coaster involves hot mics, bad takes, and a whole lot of drama.
What happened with Shadur on draft night to make him fall to the 5th round, and them talking about the Giants coming out with all that information talking about Shedeur did bad, bombed the interview, all that type stuff. We all know my last video when I talked about the interview tape about Shedeur did not get a playbook.
The NY Giants, in true Stonewall fashion, dropped a carefully trimmed clip from their highly sought-after interview with Shedeur Sanders, then quickly locked everything else away like it was top-secret intel. Was this a calculated PR stunt, or just a low-key attempt at sabotage? Either way, the silence speaks louder than any official statement. Fans aren't buying this half-baked version of transparency, and they're definitely not ready to just bench him and move on. Instead, they're demanding answers, calling out the organization for what feels like a planned smear job. One thing's for sure, the hate is loud, but Shedeur's supporters are even louder.
There was another team that he sat down with.
What do you mean it didn't go well after that?
So, he was pissed that they
did that to him.
They did that to him.
He counter-confronted
the
them.
same thing they do to every other quarterback prospect. They did that to him. They slide in a mistake to see if you catch it.
Right. And so
because you're the quarterback.
But he didn't take it as a correction. He took it as like he got pissed off.
Yeah, and it's like so here's another one. So another one was, he throws a bad interception, and it was a deep throw early in the game, and he comes back and they go in the meeting, they show the interception.
Let's just call it like it is. The Giants have perfected the tease. They've basically turned "we've got more, but we're not sharing it" into a comedy act, and the joke's on them. It's like they're standing center stage, booing themselves. Oh, you want more? Too bad. We're guarding it like Grandma's secret lasagna recipe. Congrats, Giants. You've officially become the talk of TikTok, X, and even Aunt Barbara's Facebook. Yep, the holy trinity of online outrage. This whole thing screams drama, screams petty, and definitely screams PR disaster in a fitted cap. Just release the full tape before fans start pulling up to headquarters with pitchforks. And popcorn.
GM is getting fired. The GM, who was that nigga that Jaden Daniels. The GM is on film that the nigga's son, the nigga asked his son last draft, yo, who you think I should pick? His son like, yo, you need to get the Jaden Daniels nigga, B. This is what his son, it's on tape. You should go Jaden Daniels. He laughing at his son. And all right, cool, get Jaden Daniels. I don't even know how that tape got out. I wouldn't have let the shit get out personally.
Meanwhile, Shedeur, the latest poster boy for maybe the Giants don't like talent unless it's dressed in blue and red confetti, is soaking it all in like it's just another day at practice. And here's the best part of the irony. The Giants tried to label him as all hype, no substance, a paper tiger. But instead, they accidentally turned him into the hottest name being mentioned by every sports analyst out there. They tried to bury the story, but somehow ended up stamping it in bold. It's the classic case of ignoring a trending conversation for so long that sure, people get annoyed, but at the same time, they keep your name alive better than your own PR team ever could.
It's funny. New York Giants, where these tapes at? You hear me? Because if Shedeur Sanders was so unprofessional, y'all would have leaked the tapes for the whole world could see, right? Because understand, it's a lot of he say, she say. But one thing I do know, as a young black man growing up in this world, being straightforward and not sugarcoat anything.
Oh, this narrative is pure gold. Giants PR completely skipped subtlety and went straight to the "we don't like his dad" playbook. A move so awkward, it's like trying to dunk and ending up in a kiddie pool. You can almost picture them brainstorming it. Yeah, we're just not fans of QB families that aren't ours. Because nothing screams professionalism quite like having zero self-awareness. And the fan reactions? Absolutely priceless. That one little clip was all it took to set the internet on fire. Keyboards everywhere started lighting up. People are asking, why hide the good stuff? What are you trying to cover up? If there's really nothing to hide, why not just drop the full thing? And spoiler alert, they weren't whispering. social media exploded faster than a New York City grill on Memorial Day weekend.
Them out. Another moment. What they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. Shadur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks, especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who are not in.
And that brings us to the next tasty slice of irony. By refusing to release the full interview, the New York Giants probably thought they were hurting Shedeur Sanders' image. But instead, they ended up throwing gasoline on the hype train. Rather than shutting things down, they made him look like the kid who grabbed the last cookie and somehow got blamed for taking the whole jar. Only difference? This kid's got cameras on him 24/7, and he's handling the heat like a seasoned pro. Now, every move he makes is being broken down, every throw studied like it's a presidential debate. Fans are calling it what it is. They've lied on Shedeur. Some say the Giants just don't like his dad. And honestly, that might be true. Maybe this whole thing was just a cheap shot at Deion Sanders by extension. But here's the plot twist. The harder they try to drag him down, the more interesting his story gets. The Giants accidentally turned Shedeur into a walking headline, a controversy in cleats. They tried planting doubt, but all they really did was create buzz. He's no longer just a top draft pick. He's now a symbol of resilience, a narrative goldmine, and living proof that real talent doesn't fold under pressure. It levels up. And at this point, even if the Giants wanted to, there's no turning off the spotlight.
Okay, so probably the most fun yet the most difficult thing I cover and we cover all year long is not games. It's the NFL draft. Because I've said this many times, you get lied to for a month to 2 months up to it. And so often during the draft, and every few drafts, there's a guy that really falls, precipitously falls. This year it was Shedeur Sanders, it's been Aaron Rodgers, it's been Dan Marino. Every few years somebody falls a lot. And so, but those stories don't come out until like the fall and after.
Let's not overlook the fact that the hate is so strong, you could bottle it up and sell it as radioactive cologne. You can practically watch it leaking out of Giants HQ like toxic sludge straight out of a bad superhero origin story. But here's the twist. Maybe that's their superpower. Maybe the New York Giants really believe they're cooking up some secret formula, a cocktail of manipulation and media spin. But here's the thing. Every bit of shade they throw at Shedeur Sanders only makes his story bigger. Every time they try to box him in as some overhyped diva or question his character, they accidentally hand him another viral moment. And now, he's the underdog hero rising through the smoke. Let's be real. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about narratives, control, and how the establishment absolutely loses it when they're no longer holding the pen. And the real kicker? They still won't release the full interview. You've got NFL fans, media heads, and entire Reddit threads all chanting, "Drop the tape." Like it's some long-lost Beatles album. Meanwhile, the Giants are just sitting there, staring into the void like nobody saw this mess coming.
Now, I don't know if it ever gonna get leaked or not. The tapes, the New York Giants have the tape. They definitely have the tape. It's confirmation that they have the tape. Shadur didn't do nothing. It's what they saying he did. I'm gonna tell you what these mixed reaction right here. So we already know about the New York Giants, but the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin reported Miles Sanders' talent, but hesitated to draft him due to previous challenges with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, leading to more cautious approach. Las Vegas Raiders. Sanders met with Raiders at the NFL scouting combine and expressed enthusiasm about potentially joining the team. His familiarity with the West Coast offense and quick release was noted positive, though concerns about his ceiling.
We have seen Shedeur Sanders take second team reps before, but today, interestingly, at least during one move the ball period, and it was really one of the first move the ball periods that we've seen, the Browns actually had Shedeur Sanders go ahead of Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned it, and I think we've all seen that. He's done a really, really nice job with all of the things that the Browns have given him to do so far.
Big news out of Cleveland. Things have taken quite a turn. Mary Kay Cabot, who used to be one of Shedeur Sanders' biggest critics, is now giving him credit where it's due. She recently shared that Shedeur has officially moved up to take first team reps at training camp, ahead of Dillon. According to Cabot, Shedeur didn't just land the spot, he genuinely earned it, showing real improvement and skill. This is a big shift in how Shedeur is being talked about, and it really speaks to his hard work and focus. Cabot now says he's no longer just a rookie backup, he's a real contender for the starting QB job. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has reportedly approved Shedeur for those first team reps, which are expected to start next month. It's a big step forward, and a clear sign that Shedeur is ready to compete at the top level. As we get closer to the season, all eyes will be on Shedeur to see if he can lock in that starting role. But it wasn't always this way. Back during minicamp and OTAs, Cabot was one of his toughest critics. She constantly labeled him as a fourth team quarterback and argued that he wasn't getting the reps he needed to show what he could do. For a while, she seemed like one of the only media figures not sold on his potential. While most of the coverage was backing Shedeur, Cabot stood firm in her doubts about whether he was truly ready.
The way it played out yesterday is the way that I thought it would, is that Shedeur right now is the fourth team quarterback. He did not take any team reps yesterday. Sometimes there's misinformation that comes out of an OTA like that, but he just did not take any team reps. And not just that he wasn't the second guy or the first guy, he didn't take any 11-on-11s yesterday.
At one point, Mary Kay Cabot even claimed that Cleveland wasn't setting up Shedeur Sanders to compete for the starting role. In her view, Shedeur wasn't in line to start any preseason games, at least not yet. While he was holding it down with the fourth team offense, Cabot highlighted that he wasn't being prepped the same way as Dillon Gabriel or the more experienced Kenny Pickett. According to her, the coaching staff hadn't given Shedeur the go-ahead to practice with the first team unit, leaving a lot of people wondering what his actual role on the team would be. At that stage, it was obvious Shedeur still had a lot to prove. When Cabot was pushing the idea that Shedeur was stuck as the fourth string QB, plenty of people pushed back, and Kimberly A wasn't having it. When she was asked whether Shedeur had been buried on the depth chart, she didn't hesitate. Kimberly shut the notion down completely. She said flat out that there was no way you could seriously put him in that spot. Anyone who thought Shedeur was being overlooked, she said, was just getting it wrong. According to Kimberly, it wasn't just unlikely, it was straight up inaccurate to say he wasn't being noticed. His skill, presence, and the way he played made it impossible to ignore him.
He's as old as Harry, and you're sending him out there against these guys. I don't like anything about it.
Extension because it hurts the team every way you look at it.
And then finally, Kmart. If I said Cleveland, are they making a mistake burying Shedeur Sanders on their depth chart?
Greeny, I don't think he's buried at all. I think it's so premature to even frame it like this. I understand the interest given the fact that there are four quarterbacks there, but to say a disservice is being done to Shedeur, I think is a bit.
Mary Kay Cabot didn't just stop at calling Shedeur a fourth string quarterback. She kept doubling down. She even floated the idea that Deshaun Watson could return and take the first team reps instead of Shedeur. Her comments came across like she was trying to downplay any momentum Shedeur was building, insisting that Watson would likely have the better shot at running the offense. It started to feel like she was more focused on finding ways to discredit Shedeur than acknowledging his progress. Even with his clear potential and steady improvement, Cabot kept pushing a narrative that seemed more about keeping him out of the spotlight than giving him a fair shot.
People kind of went crazy over something I wrote last week that Deshaun's going to have a chance to come in and compete. I didn't say Deshaun was going to come in and be the starting quarterback, that it will be someone else. I don't know if it will be a rookie that they bring in. I don't know if it will be someone that is on someone's roster right now that they're going to try to trade for.
Mary Kay Cabot didn't hold back when talking about Shedeur Sanders after his ticketing incident. She openly questioned whether he had what it takes to be a true quarterback, calling the situation a serious red flag. Cabot didn't just mention the speeding. She pointed out that Shedeur was going a shocking 40 miles over the limit. She even claimed he was racing another driver who was clocked at 92 miles per hour, describing the whole thing as reckless and dangerous. Her coverage left no room for interpretation. "This isn't what you want from your quarterback," she said, framing the incident as more than just a traffic mistake. It was, in her view, a sign of deeper concerns about his maturity and leadership. But Shedeur's fans weren't having it. The backlash came quickly and loudly. As the criticism piled up, Cabot eventually shut off her comments, clearly seeing that the narrative she'd been pushing was falling apart. She started to realize that sticking to her stance would only hurt her credibility, especially with Shedeur continuing to prove himself. Recognizing that it's okay to change course when the facts do, Cabot finally gave Shedeur his due. She acknowledged his obvious talent and the progress he's made, fully backing him now as a key part of the Browns' quarterback picture. After everything, she had to face the reality. Shedeur Sanders was the real deal. She admitted he had pulled ahead of Dillon Gabriel on the depth chart and was now getting first-team reps. The work Shedeur had put in, the strides he made, and the undeniable skill he showed on the field couldn't be ignored anymore. Cabot came to terms with what had become crystal clear. Shedeur was a serious contender for the starting quarterback job. His moment had arrived.
Seen Shedeur Sanders take second-team reps before, but today, interestingly, at least during one move-the-ball period, it was really one of the first move-the-ball periods that we've seen, the Browns actually had Shedeur Sanders go ahead of Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned it. And I think we've all seen that. He's done a really, really nice job with all of the things that the Browns have given him.
Mary Kay Cabot even went so far as to say that Shedeur Sanders had left a strong impression every time he spoke to the media. She pointed out how his poise and maturity during interviews only added to his rising reputation, stressing that the Browns were taking everything into account. According to her, Shedeur seemed to stand out above every other quarterback on the roster. It was becoming more and more obvious that his progress wasn't limited to just what he was doing on the field. He was also stepping up as a leader off of it. Her change in tone showed just how hard it was to ignore Shedeur's impact and the potential he was starting to reveal in every part of the game. Shedeur Sanders has now shown, without question, that his skill and drive are the real deal. Even Cabot, once one of his harshest critics, has come around. His development as a player, his ability to exceed expectations, and the way he carries himself in front of the media have all helped shift the conversation. He started out being dismissed as a fourth-string quarterback, but Shedeur kept pushing, eventually moving ahead of names like Dillon Gabriel. Through strong showings during minicamps, OTAS, and the lead up to the season, he's proven he's ready for the spotlight. And it's not just Mary Kay who's flipped her stance. A lot of people who once doubted him are now among his loudest supporters, giving him credit for the growth he's shown and the potential he brings to the team. Shedeur's rise has been all about resilience. He's turned criticism into motivation, and that dedication has earned him respect. His progress isn't just about football, it's also about the leadership and maturity he's displayed along the way. As Shedeur keeps growing, it's clear he's not just another rookie, he's on track to become a breakout star. What do you think? Has Shedeur truly earned his spot as a starting QB contender, or is there still more work to do? Was Mary Kay right to change her opinion, or should she have stuck with her original take? What do you think was the turning point that flipped the script for Shedeur? And do you believe this support he's getting will keep building as the season goes on?